They give it to Deebo Samuel, a walk-in touchdown. Touchdown! San Francisco!
Deebo Samuel is hunting, and George Kittle provides a huge hole for him.
49ers improved to 8-3. They beat the Seahawks in Seattle. Happy Thanksgiving. 31-13. Brock Purdy, 21 of 30 and a touchdown. Did have that pick six. Christian McCaffrey leads the way with 114 on the ground. 2 touchdowns for Christian McCaffrey. That's 29 touchdowns in 25 games with the 49ers, and they play from ahead. That's the big story with the 49ers all season long. Their 7th touchdown on an opening drive, which ties the Baltimore Ravens for the most in the NFL. They dominate the first half, 24-3 at the half, and then they hang on at the end, 31-13. And the Seahawks fall to 6-5, so things are looking good for the AFC West. Seattle's still got to come to San Francisco in 2 weeks, and the 49ers the best of both worlds because they win tonight in Seattle, and now they have 10 days off until the NFC Championship rematch game in Philadelphia. John Lund with you, Adam Copeland, Super Bowl champion Dennis Brown. Dennis, I'll start with you. Give us your takeaways from this dominant performance in Seattle.
You know, and you said it. I mean, just to start off fast, I mean, that first drive was and Christian McCaffrey, I mean, he's got to be the best back in the National Football. I mean, just his vision, his patience, and, you know, that offensive line. I mean, you know, they put it together. Open up the holes. I think he had over, 114 yards on the ground. You know, so, you know, just to start off fast like that. And then the defense. You know, the third quarter was a little weird. I was getting a little worried. But then, you know, you settle down and you just run the football. Elijah Mitchell comes in, runs the ball. I mean, I think they just dominated. The first half was all 49ers. Third quarter, yes, Seattle Seahawks. And then, you know, the fourth quarter just closed the game off as far as the 49ers go. So it was impressive. They've beaten this team. They kind of got their number now. They've beaten them, you know, a few times now, and, you know, 3 times last year. Yeah. So, again, I think it's impressive. You know, you build on this, but this defense, I think the defense is finally coming together.
Okay, so before the like on the pregame show, Dennis told us at 2 p.m. he had already put away 2 plates of food, right? Then he told us he had a third plate in his bag, and he had some, would you have pumpkin pie?
No, sweet potato pie.
Sweet potato pie.
Sweet potato pie.
I don't know how much he ate of that and if Dennis is going soft, but he gave all of that and did not mention the defense once. Didn't mention the defensive line, dude. We just talked about it when I came in here, and I was stoked about how they were talking about the 4 they were rushing up front: Hargrave, Armstead, Bosa, and Chase Young. On the broadcast, because every sack seemed like it came the exact same way, which was the outside got contained and the inside would push inside, and either Geno stepped up and he got mauled by Hargrave and Armstead, or he tried to go to the outside and the outside was contained, and there was Bosa, there was Chase Young, and frequently Fred Warner was in the backfield as well, making stuff happen. So this was a, outside of the pick six, defense gives up, 6 points today? Is that right?
Yeah, and remember the first field goal was set up by a 66-yard kickoff return that got to the
by the way, give some credit to Luter, man. That's a game. That's a touchdown saving. That's a touchdown saving tackle there. He was the last line of defense. He's been inactive every game this year. First career tackle.
They got 1 yard on that drive. That was their opening drive, and so they got a 66-yard kickoff return by Eskridge. They actually gained 1 yard on the drive itself. They kick a long field goal. So they essentially, because like you said, it was a pick six for a touchdown. It was 3 points after a 66-yard kickoff return. So essentially, they give up 3 points defensively. So the 49ers, to say that they were dominant, and for a minute there, things kind of looked weird because after the interception, then Seattle goes down the field. They settle for a field goal. If they could score a touchdown on that drive, it's 24-17, and now we're talking about something. But that turned to 24-13. Then Brock turned around, made that great throw between 4 defenders, hits Brandon Ayuk, throws a dime, makes it 31-13, and the ball game's over at that point.
That was a hell of a throw.
Yeah. And it was a great game plan. You had Charvarius Ward kind of traveling on DK. You kind of shut him down a little bit. And the defense just came together, and they played well. There's a lot of, some deep balls.
Now you want to talk defense, huh?
Yeah, I want to talk defense now. There was some long balls. There were some long balls
but he shamed him.
Yeah, shamed me.
He's soft, man. He's loving kickers. He's loving talking
quarterbacks. Loving quarterbacks.
Lots of offensive line talking.
Dude, let's talk about the offense starting fast. What's this about, man?
Yeah. Well, I just watch, Seattle, I thought they played kind of a 5-man front, right? But they came out with a whole different defense. I mean, this is a 49ers offense that wants to run the football, right? You think they would have 5 men up front, but they figured, they could have their safety up front and play against the run. And they were just getting gashed in the middle. So good game plan, on both sides of the ball, I think, against Pete Carroll.
I'm going to use this example real quick as I get you to the stat of the game.
Yeah, sure.
And I'll get you the stat of the game here as soon as I find the stat of the game. Stat of the game is sponsored by Stevens Creek Toyota. Shop a huge selection of over 500 vehicles. Stevens Creek Toyota, the obvious choice. We'll make the stat of the game this. Since Russell Wilson left the Seattle Seahawks, 49ers are 4-0 against Seattle. Brock Purdy 3-0 now in his career against Seattle. 2-0 in the regular season, 1-0 in the postseason, and 2-0 in Seattle. So I think back to, I was talking to Tim, our producer here, while we were watching the game, when I like watching tennis, and when Andy Roddick, the American tennis player, was getting big and won a U.S. Open, then here came Roger Federer and was just beating the hell out of everybody, and they asked Roddick about his rivalry with Federer, and he goes, I think you have to win some before you can call it a rivalry. I imagine Brock's looking over here like, hey, these guys have broken ribs. What's the big deal, man? We kicked the crap out of this team. It's incredible where this team is, because that is a tough place to play. I mean, they showed that note today about the pre-snap penalties forced by that stadium. We had some friends over at the house who weren't big football fans, one person from out of the country, and we were telling them about the Seahawks stadium and how tough it is to play, and how it's suspected they pump in crowd noise and what it means to be a 12. And that fan base is a great fan base, and they're loud, and it's tough to play there. And so it makes sense that teams struggle. But for what the Niners have done the last couple of times, I mean, they maybe even shouldn't be as good as they are right now. And Brock Purdy is just one more feather in his cap for me in terms of the poise and his ability to go and win in big-time situations.
Yeah, and we didn't even talk about the 12th man. I mean, in third quarter, they got kind of loud, but that was it. I mean,
after the pick six, and then they had a drive. They got the 49ers out, and then they were driving down, and they set up for a field goal. But, yeah, for a brief period of time, they did. But the thing is, the last 3 years, now they're 12-11 in their last 23 games at that place. And here's the other thing. You can be as loud as you want as a fan, but the 49ers were so dominant in the first quarter. The Seahawks had 0 yards in the first quarter, and the 49ers had 148.
It's tough to win like that.
Right, and their offense wasn't on the field basically the entire first half. I mean, it was like 23-7 as far as time of possession. So as a fan, you come hyped up. You've been tailgating, you've been having a great time, and then you come into the stadium and your team does nothing. I mean, I think we've probably all been there, where you're just sitting there going, do something, because you can't just cheer nothing. And so the 49ers really took the crowd out of the game. They dominated the first quarter. It was 24-3 at the half. Yep. What were they going to do? Just start the wave for the hell of it? I mean, there was just nothing going on for the Seahawks, and therefore the stadium was quiet.
Did you say start the wave?
Oh, isn't that where the wave started? Seattle
in Husky Stadium, it did.
Yeah, Husky Stadium, right?
I heard it in a while.
And they used to do it all the time, and it was like, well, I guess we're bored. Let's just do the wave. You'd see it late in games or something, but they didn't give them a reason to cheer, and that makes it a lot easier up there. And you know what, guys, I don't know what you guys think, but the Seahawks and the 49ers, they're not rivals because they're not close. I mean, the offensive and defensive lines aren't close. Geno Smith is not a top quarterback. Brock Purdy is a lot better. Seattle's got some really nice young pieces, but the 49ers are a much better team, and they dominated both lines of scrimmage. And as you know, Dennis, and you know the Scopes, that's where the game is won. And Seattle has the right side, when Peters left, Forsythe couldn't do anything. They knew they were going to run right at him. They couldn't do anything about it. They dominated where it counts. And Seattle's not close to the 49ers. 2 weeks, they'll do the same thing, if not worse.
I want to talk about a couple of things when we come on back. We'll take a quick break here. Adam Copeland, Super Bowl champion, Dennis Brown, John Lem with you following a 49er 31-13 just ass-kicking of the Seattle Seahawks on Thanksgiving night. Up at Lumen Field in Seattle, Niners moved to 8-3, Seattle 6-5. The Lions lost earlier today at home to the Packers. Cowboys handled business today like pretty soundly against the Washington Commandos in Dallas. So 49ers hold serve here, and they got 10 days until December 3rd when they go out to Philadelphia for a rematch of last year's NFC Championship. But we come on back a little bit more on the defense. I want to talk about two guys, Chase Young and Ambry Thomas. Chase Young, I think we've undersold tremendously the impact he was going to have on this defense. And Ambry Thomas, we talked about how he was going to answer the call today, and I thought he did. Had a nice interception early and played pretty well. More to come here. 808 KNBR is the number to call if you want to get in on the phone lines. We are streaming on twitch.tv/thesportsleader, YouTube at KNBR 1045, and of course, the KNBR app. Niners over the Seahawks 31-13 on the Sports Leader.
And just getting a win, I feel great, especially to have 3 days off after this. It's definitely a different 3 days when you don't get it with the win. The way the defense played tonight was unbelievable. Just them to keep them out of the end zone the whole game, the 6 sacks. The way I thought our corners played on the outside, just a real impressive game, and real excited to watch it.
That's the voice of Kyle Shanahan following the 49ers 31-13 win over the Seattle Seahawks. Niners moved to 8-3, 3-0 now out of the bye week, and Brock Purdy has never lost to the Seattle Seahawks. What rivalry problem? That's what Brock's saying. He's like, I don't have any problem there. Let's go to Philadelphia in a few weeks here, actually 10 days, less than 2 weeks, and try to handle business here. Let's get you the difference maker of the game, sponsored by Benjamin Moore Paints. Experience the Benjamin Moore retail difference at our independently owned authorized retailers today, or at BenjaminMoore.com. I'll get you my difference maker, because during the game I got kind of pissed because I was like, before the game, every game we have to pick our somebody like that. It's not a difference maker. We pick a player to bank on before every game.
Yeah,
and I feel like we should be keeping score. Because your boy's
That's
on fire.
That's a good idea.
Because your boy's on fire.
Who did you say?
I picked Christian McCaffrey. So I know it's an easy pick.
You guys both chose low-hanging fruit. You had McCaffrey. What did you have, Dennis?
I even gave you a specific note. I said he hasn't had a rushing touchdown in 3 weeks.
You guys are just going off on it.
100 yards rushing. Tim, go to the tape. No, Tim doesn't have any tape ready. There's no time. Just kidding.
What, like that commercial?
He's not even facing me. He's like back to the screen right now. So, by the way, both of those guys. Let's start with McCaffrey, and then the other guy I want to go to is not Purdy. I want to go to Deebo Samuel because he had a huge game today. Let's start with Christian McCaffrey. John, your thoughts on his performance? Because really, what I was getting at before the game is last year in Seattle on the short week, and I said in my mind, you always tend to go to a heavy run game, and Kyle wants to do that anyway. 33 total carries today, and McCaffrey goes 19 for 114, 6 a carry. As a team, they go 33 for 169, 5.1. He led the way.
Yeah, well, 30-plus runs. The 49ers are now 44-6 under Kyle when they have 30-plus runs. So that's obviously the game plan going in. And I don't know. I mean, Seattle should know this, but again, we talked about this in the pregame. They had 9 starters, different starters than they had in that playoff game, although guys like Bobby Wagner, they've played for years against him. I don't know why it seems like teams underestimate him, but he had a lot of just tough runs. I mean, the touchdown run, he pinballed left, right. You didn't think he was getting in the end zone, the 8-yarder. And he's able to do those kind of things.
So strong. He's way stronger than we thought.
Yeah, and I just think he just does those things. He seems to glide. I think that guys think when they approach him, he's not going to have the impact that he has on him. He breaks a lot of tackles. He's quicker than you think. He had a 27-yard touchdown run today, and just everything evolves around him because when he's in the game, like they had Debo scored a touchdown on a play where it's like, oh, McCaffrey's going right, Debo's going left. It just opens up everything for everyone because linebackers have to take a step forward. Brock Purdy's throwing the ball behind you. Everything revolves around 23. Had another great game tonight.
Yeah, and I talked about it, his vision. I mean, he has the ability. I mean, he doesn't need much space. I mean, he can find a run lane, and he takes his time. He's a one-cut guy, and he's downhill, but his patience and his vision, he can just find those little gaps. And like Tim says, he gets skinny. And he gets in there, and you said it. He glides. It feels like he's gliding. A fantastic runner, ball catcher, and like they always say, he's unlocked this running game. But how about Elijah Mitchell coming in the third or the fourth quarter and just pounding the ball? I mean, when they're going to run the football, he's running. He's been hurt a bunch, but he gets in there and he's very effective.
Yeah, I mean, he on that touchdown drive, they pulled the guys out on the Ayuk touchdown drive to seal everything. That's who was in the game, was Mitchell. And we forget, this guy as a rookie ran for, 963? Yeah. I mean, again, in today's NFL, that's not a ton of yards with 17 games.
They rode him at the back end of that season. He had multiple games with 20-plus carries. Might have reached near 30 at one point and was going well over 100 yards
He's
frequently.
A good back. I mean, seriously, he would start on a lot of teams in this league. So, with that 1-2 punch and the type of things they can throw at you, and then you get Debo in the backfield as well, there's just really an embarrassment of riches on the offensive side for the 49ers. And like you said, we started this conversation with McCaffrey, but to have Debo and come out and bounce back. Remember last week Ayuk had 156 yards, and he did have a great touchdown, but he was 2 for 50. And so then you have then this week it's Debo 7 for 70, or it's McCaffrey going 1 for 114. Last week Kittle went off. He had a nice third down catch to set up a touchdown drive, but he had 3 for 19. Like, it's just every week someone is going to step up. And if somebody plans, okay, geez, Ayuk had 156 last week, you got to take him out. Then it's Debo, or it's just I don't know what you do, Dennis, defensively when you formulate a game plan against these guys. Because you can't, if you try to take away one, then other guys are going to step up. They literally have guys like McCaffrey and Debo and Ayuk, and we just mentioned Mitchell. They can throw 5 or 6 guys at you that can have a huge game, and that must be so difficult to plan for.
I mean, it's got to be frustrating for defensive coordinators, right? I mean, who do you cover? What do you do? You see Seattle tried to, put another man in the box, a safety in the box. Yeah. It just doesn't work because there's so many different weapons. Then you have a quarterback that can deliver the package. So, it's got to be tough. I mean, those 3 games that they lost, they just didn't look like the 49ers. These last 2 games, they looked like the 49ers that we saw, those first 5 games of the season.
Adam Copeland, Super Bowl champ, Dennis Brown, John Lund. Niners over the Seahawks, 31-13. 808 KNBR is the number to call. You can also hit us on the Golden State Lumber and Building Materials text line if you're waking up from a tryptophan coma or you're going in for plate 4 or 5. Dennis, you put away 3 plates today. How many more do you think you got?
Well, I got dessert. I didn't get the sweet potato pie yet.
Oh, you still have that?
I still got it. Couldn't get that in.
Should have seen him, dude. He got up to go walk out after we finished pregame, and he set his plate out, and he was just He was kind of touching it, looking at his feet. He's like, "Ooh, this is great." Man, then he's like, "Danny better not touch my plate."
Good. Yeah,
I was like, "Danny's not gonna eat your food."
I felt bad for Danny because we do the pizza, and I don't know what he ate today, but I didn't really care.
Well, I brought him a plate. Yeah, he did. He looked at Danny and said, "Sorry." He didn't Danny didn't hear him.
Danny dude, do you bring me something?
No.
Danny, our engineer. I brought Danny a full plate. He's good. He's all set.
He got a turkey leg. I think he told me.
I hooked him up with some meat and some mac and cheese, some potatoes, veg, and Kyle too, our sound cutter.
Yeah,
extra helper Greg Papa too on the postgame show.
I would like
Buckeye crunch.
A little shout out to my wife who just got back from her sisters, and they just have an embarrassment of food. And I made 3 side dishes for her to take over, and so I said,
"You must have gotten a bunch back when you."
Yeah, so I said, "What do you got for me?" And you made me a plate or something, and she's like, "Oh yeah," and I thought she was joking. I thought she was joking. Like really, seriously, where's the plate? Nothing. So as you can see here, this is a Fit Crunch mint chocolate chip. Yeah, that's a nice. That was my Thanksgiving dinner there. Fit Crunch.
That ain't John. Yeah. That ain't right.
That ain't right.
This is all just caramel.
I thought she was joking.
I
seriously, I went out and I was whatever. I came back out to the studio here. I walked back in and I go, seriously, where's the plate? And she's looking at me like, I forgot the plate. Okay,
wow.
I forgot the plate. Nothing. Not one thing. Not one thing.
That's it.
No plate.
That's a rough day.
Whatever.
That's a rough day.
It's got to be something in the fridge, though.
No, I maybe she's playing a trick on me, but I'm telling you.
You know what? Didn't sound like
nothing.
her. Doesn't sound like her to be playing this kind of trick. Seems like there'd be some steps involved here that I don't think she was willing to go through.
Just
to pull a gotcha,
yeah, I mean, maybe she's playing a good one on me, but any minute here, I'm expecting a piping hot plate with the whole fixins, but I got a feeling it ain't coming.
Well, I got to tell you, you may have had the most authentic Thanksgiving I ever saw. It ain't Thanksgiving until somebody in the family's upset and crying. You know what I mean? Maybe going to bed hungry.
I'll be having a liquid. I'll be having a liquid dinner here right after we get off the air.
Nice.
All right, well,
apparently so.
Adam Copeland, Dennis Brown, and a lubed-up John Lund here along shortly. 49ers 31-13 over the Seattle Seahawks. We're having fun here on the postgame show. 808 KNBR if you want to get involved on the action on the text line, or give us a call, or we are on YouTube, of course, and twitch.tv/The Sports Leader. When we come on back, I did say I want to talk more about the defense. I want to talk Chase Young and Ambry Thomas. We'll do that on the other side, only here on The Sports Leader.
that the key to unlocking our offense is getting 30-plus runs. And Coach always make that known at the beginning of the week. It's one of the things where we knew coming into the noise that you don't want to turn it into a drop-back game, regardless of who's on the other side. With the noise, it's tough. So, we had to play hard-nosed football. Christian, Debo, Elijah, all those guys did a great job finding the seams and just, keeping the ball moving.
31-13, the 49ers dominate, and I do mean dominate, the Seahawks from Lumen Field. That means 8-3, and with the Lions lost, they're 8-3. Dallas wins, they're 8-3. Seattle is hanging by a thread because they've got a tough schedule coming up, and they are now 6-5. Before we get to the defensive side, Copes wants to talk about all these sacks that the 49ers are getting going, and we got to do that. But Dennis, I'm sorry, because we had Trent Williams bring us in. Let's do protecting the quarterback. That's brought to us by our good friends at the Contra Costa Sheriff Department. The Office of the Sheriff. Protect your community and apply for your new career in law enforcement at cocosheriff.org today. That's cocosheriff.org. And also by Bay Alarm. Bay Alarm, worry less about your people and your property with Bay Alarm, bayalarm.com. So let's use that to talk just the trenches in general, because I think this is the biggest place. I mean, the Seahawks have some offensive talent. The Seahawks have some guys in the secondary. They've got some players around, but obviously the dominance of the defensive line, the offensive line was very good today, but 6 sacks for them in the second half. That's 15 sacks in the 3 games now that Chase Young has played. And, Copes, I know you want to talk about Chase Young. He seems to have unlocked this defensive line.
Well, it seemed like when they made the trade for him, I was pretty excited about it. He had started to come back healthy. Last year, he missed a lot of the season because of the knee injury. It was at an ACL he'd had 2 years ago, I think. And so it was near the end of the season. He missed a lot of last year. And so I thought last year was not indicative of what he could have been. And I thought when they made the trade this year, he was the best available talent that could have been available. Danielle Hunter was having an incredible year, but the Minnesota Vikings remained in the hunt. They went out shopping and got Josh Dobbs. So to get a guy who's this young, who has not reached his potential yet, to put him in a defense where, the 49ers may be unlocked by something that he's doing talent-wise, but I think it's unlocking other things for them as well. And so I feel like it was undersold because a lot of people said, John Lynch included, look, one guy is not going to fix everything, which is an easy thing to say. But the hype around McCaffrey was much different, right? Because we knew what caliber player the 49ers were getting. Chase Young was a high upside player, I think, but a lot of times on defense, you don't know what kind of domino effect you're going to have from the defensive line aspect. All preseason long, all 3 of us talked about nonstop who's going to be the guy opposite Nick Bosa and Armstead and Javon Hargrave, because that's like batting in front of Barry Bonds, getting an opportunity to hit with fastballs. And what he's done in being here has created an absolute monster of a D-line, mayhem for the opposition, and then you throw somebody like Fred Warner in there who can shoot through like a missile. Randy Gregory gets in, you mix in some range and some size, and then more often than not, they were rushing 4 tonight. And as I said, getting contained on the outside. The inside looked like guys were just collapsing on top of Geno Smith, and he is not immobile, but it seemed like they made him immobile tonight. So I just feel like to this point, the 15 sacks are a number that not only were they not reaching, I don't know who else has got that many in this span since he showed up, or in this 3-game span. If they're not number 1, they've got to be near the top of the league. This has been, I think, undersold, and it's been, to this point, the most impactful trade deadline pickup of 2023.
Yeah, and I don't know if he's, if he's in. I mean, he has impacted because he's such a good player. I mean, I like him. He hasn't, the thing on him was he was a freelancer. I mean, he's worked within this defense. He's played his contain. He hasn't, dipped inside, and quarterbacks haven't got outside of him. But I think everybody else has just played better. I think, Nick has 6 sacks now. I think his game's improved because he's on the football field.
But I mean, do you think that's played a role? Because they got nothing from the other side. They were getting virtually no pressure or sacks.
It's more consistent. It's consistent.
They weren't closing.
It's consistent, yeah. So
he was getting beat on singles, and now they've got to put so much attention elsewhere. I mean, Hargrave has looked great. Armstead's gotten a sack in each of the last couple. So yeah,
and I think Eric Armstead, just quietly, he's had a pretty decent season. I mean, he's been getting after it. And, we talk about that outside pass rush. It's important, but that interior rush is important too. And Hargrave has played well, but I think Eric Armstead, he's played well. But I think Nick Bosa is getting into his game now. He gets 2 sacks today, which he got 6 now. So, and Chase has, 6.5. So, I think, he's an impactful player because he's so good. But I think everybody else in this defensive line has kind of upped their game.
Yeah, I mean, look, Hargrave early had that sack. He got 1.5. He's starting to look like himself. Nick, like you said, got 2. Armstead got 1. Gibson got credited with 1. It was when Gino kind of tripped over Charbonnet's foot when he was going back. But hey, you're gonna take it. This whole thing has been unlocked, and it's not only the sacks. It's just the pocket was collapsing constantly.
He has no time at
Gino.
all.
They had a zero blitz coming one time, and all he had to do was get the ball out there, and he had guys, and he just didn't even have time to do that. They seem to. I don't know what it is, Dennis, because I mean, again, you get guys at mid-season or something, and maybe it just gives you a boost. But to me, it's no coincidence that Nick Bosa gets 2 sacks, because now when you're game planning for these guys, that's where it becomes really difficult, because it's Hargrave inside and it's Armstead. Both those guys are playing really well. Nick's Nick. So all of a sudden you're like, okay, what do we do here? And Chase Young, even though like tonight he doesn't get a sack, you have to say, and again, it's nothing against Cleve Farrell. It's nothing against Randy Gregory. It's nothing against anybody, Drake Jackson, anybody who's been on that other side. It's just that first and foremost, like, okay, you single that guy, what else are we going to do? Well, you can't single Chase all night long, because he's going to beat you too. So all of a sudden now you've got the depth, you've got a lot of talent, and it's a major problem, because they had 12 quarterback hits tonight. They were getting pressure on 60% of the plays, and more than 60% of the dropbacks for Geno Smith. I think it was closer to 70%. I mean, he did not have any time. They can't run the ball. They haven't run the ball all season long. Ken Walker III was out. So what are they going to do offensively? They didn't have time to do anything, especially in the first half.
Offensive line for the 49ers today, how did that look for you? I know the Feliciano had 1 penalty later on in the game. They looked, for the most part, I thought, okay. I know Brock had that one play where he shovel passed behind him to Kittle, where he was about to get sacked, and I was like, "Oh, just take a sack there, bro."
Yeah,
it's just come on, dude. What's that? And we were joking too. We're like, "What's Kittle, by the way, doing standing right there?"
Yeah, that was.
I was
weird.
Like, sandwiched between really two neon green jerseys. It was sort of a weird play. Anyway, I thought in general the offensive line today for the Niners held up pretty good. No, who was out today? Burford was out.
Yeah, for Feliciano.
Banks back in there. Feliciano was in, and the health of that O-line was what I was mostly concerned about. They have 10 days off, which to me is the biggest part of this, because they're going up against extremely tough D-line against Philadelphia.
Yeah, and you look good as an offensive line when you have a running back like Christian McCaffrey, right? I mean, you look good because he gets 100 yards, and but Brock again. He had time. He was a comfortable pocket. I don't know if he got sacked today. Did he get sacked today?
Once.
He got sacked once. He felt. I mean, except for that third quarter where it felt like, Seattle had kind of, they got a little momentum those first two drives in the third quarter. But other than that, this offensive line, again, you run behind Trent and get George Kittle out there, you're going to get some yards, and you got a back like Christian McCaffrey, you're going to look good as an offense.
John, what was the note on the 49ers runs, 30 or more in a game, and what's their record?
44-6
44-6 under Kyle when they run it 30 or more times.
I mean, plus, you look at time of possession, I mean, especially in the first half. I mean, they had the ball, it seemed like the entire first half. Seattle never had their offense on the field, but it ended up 35.5 for the 49ers, 24-30, and I've got a note, I'll look back at my notes from the first half. I mean, in the first half, Seattle just didn't have the ball. So, I mean, their offense, that's one of the things, and I'm not saying it's because the offensive line was great because of this, but in the first half of this game, Seattle's defense didn't have a chance to catch their breath. And Dennis, I got to imagine that you've been in a game like that where it's just 3 and out, 3 and out, 3 and out, 3 and out. I mean, Seattle in the first half, their best offense was that kick return.
Yeah.
And they were 3 and out on that. They just happened to be in good field position so they could get a field goal. But it was constant 3 and out. And that, they were talking on the TV broadcast that, they're dominating, they're doing whatever they want. Well, yeah, Seattle was gassed in the first half. They never got off the field. So, yeah, the offensive line's going to look pretty good.
Yeah. Offensive line's pretty good. Sorry, I was trying to find your time of possession.
No, it's okay. I got it in my first half. But the other thing is, too, and I'd love your guys' opinion on this thing, Burford has not had a good year.
Nope.
And I know Feliciano, cost them with that penalty, and they ended up punting. They got the interception on that one, and they ended up punting on that one. They didn't get any yards, even though they had a nice setup there. But
they were going to go on fourth down. They got the penalty.
Yeah, and I don't. So I don't know. Yeah, that's exactly right. So I don't know if Burford's going to get the job back from Feliciano. I kind of like having another veteran on that offensive line. And look, Pro Football Focus can throw out the numbers. I'm not sitting there staring at the offensive line, but I just Burford has had a really tough year with penalties and just his general play. Again, it depends on how much you believe in Pro Football Focus. He doesn't have a good number, but you're looking at the left side with Banks playing solid. That's where they like to have most of their runs. And then you look at the right side, McKivitz. I don't know what his grade is going to be, but he's been solid. Sometimes he's struggled, but I just like the idea of having another
against the
veteran
toughest pass rusher on every team, basically.
Right.
Every
Good
week.
point.
I mean, that's tough for him. So you're not sending him at Trent Williams. You're sending him the other side against McKivitz. It's a tough assignment every week. Niners do get 6 sacks today of Geno Smith. That's a season high, is it not?
Yes.
15
Would they
now?
have 5 last week?
5 last week. Is that 15 in the last 3 games now?
Yeah, they're starting to
4, 5, 6. They are starting to mount these sack numbers here. Nick Bosa gets a couple. Chase Young, I mean, his impact I don't think can be overlooked. Niners pick up, what is it, total yards here of 377. They go for over 160, 169 on the ground.
Here, I got the first half stuff. So in the first half, they had 225 yards to 56. First downs in the first half were 16-3. And then the overall time of possession.
10-0 at one point, by the way.
Yeah.
10-0.
And then time of possession in the first half, 22-31 for the 49ers, 7-29 for the Seahawks. So they had the ball 3 times as much as what the Seahawks did. So the defense in the first half was just literally just getting off the field, turning around, coming back. And so, it's 24-3 at the half. They were doing whatever they wanted. And, look, give a ton of credit to the offense of what the 49ers were doing and Kyle continuing to pound the ball at the Seahawks. But their defense didn't have time to make an adjustment, to rest, any of that kind of stuff because the offense was so inept for Seattle.
49ers 31-13 over Seattle. Christian McCaffrey has a huge game, 114 on the ground. He goes for 5 catches and 25 through the year. Deebo Samuel, 4 carries, 15 yards, and a touchdown on the ground, but goes 7 for 79. I imagine if you're a DB and Deebo has 7 catches, it's like more painful than 7 catches from Tyler Lockett. You know what I mean? Like that's a 7 painful in your chest catches from Deebo Samuel when you've got to bring him down. We'll talk more about this. One of the 49ers playing their best football of the year right now, heading into this game against Philadelphia. That's coming up next. Adam Copeland, Dennis Brown, John Lund with you on Twitch, YouTube, and streaming on the KNBR app on the Sports Leader.
Yeah, I mean, I spoke with the back end. I feel like all the back seven, I feel like as long as we are on top of our job in the back, the D-line, they're so talented up front, so relentless. As long as we're sticking our covers, like, they're going to go out there, they're going to eat every time. So kind of spending extra time going over the route concept, especially on third down, and working in unison, rushing coverage. I think that's why you see the results.
Fred Warner there as the 49ers get a 31-13 victory over the Seattle Seahawks. You want to call them a rival still, but they haven't won in 4 tries since Russell Wilson was traded to the Denver Broncos. Jimmy Garoppolo, I guess technically the win goes on the ledger of Trey Lance last year when he gets knocked out of that game down near the goal line in the first quarter. Jimmy G gets the win, and then Brock Purdy comes in near the end of the season, gets the win in Seattle on a Thursday night, similar to this one, and the win in the playoffs, and another one here. He's 3-0 against the Seahawks. They were 5-0 at one point. And they were damn good. And Kyle was saying it's tough at the beginning of a year because there was so much hype. You're so excited. You're seeing, we had so many storylines we're waiting to play out. Nick Bosa in the contract, and then his off of a Defensive Player of the Year award. Then you've got Javon Hargrave shows up. You've got a new defensive coordinator. You've got McCaffrey for the full season. Is Purdy going to be healthy at the start of the year? What happens with Trey Lance? Then he gets traded. Then they start 5-0. When you're undefeated, you can't really foresee what the problems could be or will be. And you just think, if somebody gets hurt, that could be a problem. It went a different way. They lost 3 straight, which is rare to do, and stay above 500. May have cost them the number 1 seed with how good Philadelphia is, but is this now because they've weathered a storm and they've acquired a piece here? Do you think this is the best football they've played all year, guys?
I think so. I mean, I remember after that Dallas game, we were thinking, how can any team beat this 49er football team? And then we saw it 3 weeks.
We did say
Cleveland
42-10. Yeah.
I mean, and then Cleveland, then Minnesota, and then Cincinnati. And then we were, we kind of retracted a lot of that stuff. We're like, now what's going on? And now they're back on it. And they're scoring points. They're taking over football games. Defense is taking over football games, making teams one-dimensional. So right now, these last couple weeks, they're playing their best football. But I think the best football we saw was early in the football season, especially that Dallas game. And whatever happened those 3 weeks, they're back on track. And they're a talented football team. We talk about it, offense and defense. Chase Young comes and makes his defense even better. We've talked about it. So they've got weapons on both sides of the ball.
I think that hopefully they've learned their lesson. I mean, they admitted this week that they kind of let their foot off the gas. Brock Purdy said that he's got to learn to stay focused all the time. And you would think, again, as people who didn't play the game, and you did play it, Dennis, you would think human nature would say, hey, all this one game at a time talk. But whenever it seems to me that human nature is everybody telling you how great you are all the time makes you think we are great. We are just going to come on the field and we're going to drop our cleats and we're going to win. But the league is so good that you just can't do that. And look, we're going to find out who's playing the best football because, like we talked about in the pregame show, after this win, it's at Eagles, Seattle, at Cardinals, Ravens. For the Eagles, they're 9-1 and they just beat the Chiefs, but they're going to play a desperate Bills team. They're going to play the 49ers. They're going to go to the Cowboys. The Seahawks didn't look great tonight, but at home they could upset some people who don't know them as well as the 49ers. So their next 4 are Bills, 49ers, at Cowboys, at Seahawks. The Cowboys, Seahawks, Eagles, at Bills, at Dolphins, Lions. There's a long way to go in this whole thing. It feels like we've been doing this for a long time, but for the teams at the top of the NFC, especially the Eagles and the 49ers, who I think are clearly the best 2 teams in the NFC, there's a lot of proving to do, but it starts with this. The 49ers have a massive advantage to have 10 games to get ready for these guys because the Eagles can't just look past the Bills this weekend. So the 49ers have 10 days. Kyle Shanahan said it, bumps, bruises, whatever's happening with this team. It sucks to lose George Odom, who's one of your better special teams players, but Darrell Luter Jr. saved a kick return touchdown. They've got to tighten up their special teams as far as their coverage units, where I think they came in, they were 25th in the league. So if we're going to nitpick on something, that's probably something because that's how Seattle got on the board, those first 3 points. But there's a long way to go. They've got to beat the Eagles, though, if they want home field advantage, and then hope for a loss in some of this tough stretch, and they've got to keep playing some great football.
415-808-KNBR, 808-5627 is the number to call and to text if you want to check in on the Golden State Lumber and Building Materials text line. Streaming on YouTube and Twitch. Let's go out to the phone lines here. Alex is in Sacramento. Niners 31-13 over the Seattle Seahawks. Alex, happy Thanksgiving. You're on the Sports Leader.
Happy Thanksgiving. What's going on, fellas? Great win tonight. some of those, you look at a game, some plays stick out to you. And one of those plays for me, end of the first quarter, talk about Purdy, joke around system quarterback and that, but it kind of looked like a Mahomes, Jalen Hurts type play where he was going down and he got that ball out to Kittle quick.
Yeah, that was. I thought it was sacked. I thought it was actually sacked on that play.
It was Bobby Wagner, I think, that had it.
It was crafty. I get what you're saying there. And sometimes I'm like, oh, dude, just go down. Because what I'm afraid of in that situation is the arm getting bumped and then the ball pops out before it's going backwards.
I'm just afraid of a dumb turnover.
That's kind of what I mean.
I like that Brock is what's the word I want to go? Adventurous when he goes after, some throws. I mean, Kyle again on that touchdown to Ayuk was like, where is he throwing it? And he throws it between 4 defenders. He's just got the guts to make those throws. But there is a fine line that we've talked about between making a play and living to fight another day. And remember, this team is good enough defensively. You don't want a game-altering play. Like if he throws that ball or it comes out of his hand and he's trying to, and all of a sudden it fumbles and Seattle picks it up. It's similar to the Jordan Brooks play. That Brooks pick six kind of got Seattle going. It was 24-10. Had they cashed in on that next possession where they had to settle for a field goal to make it 24-13, but they scored TD there, now it's 24-17. But it was all started by a Brock Purdy pick six to get the stadium back in the game, to get the momentum back the other way. You don't want to make those momentum-changing plays, and you can get away with it because Seattle, I don't think, is very good. But in these upcoming games, specifically the Eagles and the Ravens, you're not getting away with those kind of plays. They're just too good.
Yeah, and even that pick six, it looked like he didn't have very good vision, right? I mean, he was in the pocket.
That's about high throws too. He had just missed a throw right before that, coming over the middle. Was it to Ayuk or Debo? Somebody coming right there.
Debo, yeah.
So I mean, he's gaining confidence, right, in himself, and so he's thinking he can make some of these throws, but backed up. In his own end zone. I mean, those are dangerous plays. I know we're kind of nitpicking a little bit, but like you said, those are momentum changes. I mean, that's how you get the crowd in the game, you get the defense, and then you get the offense all fired up. So, but he's gonna take those shots because he's gaining confidence.
Yeah.
Go ahead, John.
Go ahead. No, I'm okay with it, and I like that he's that way. I don't want him to be check down guy. I mean, everyone used to complain about Alex Smith or Jimmy Garoppolo that they weren't adventurous enough. I'm fine with it. It's just a play like that where you're going down and Kittle's standing there. I get it, but so many things could go wrong in those kind of situations. And look, I love Brock. Brock's playing great football. The throw he made to Ayuk, what he's done the last few weeks. We locally, we know what Brock means to this team and the kind of play that he's playing. It's just those are the small things. Like Brock used to leak out left. He's so good in the pocket now. There's little things. He's only 23 years old that he can learn, and something like that is, you know what? Live to fight another day. Tuck the ball away because too many bad things can happen if you're trying to make little plays like that. It's not the risk is not worth the reward. I mean, he flipped it to Kittle. What did he get? A few yards on that play?
It was like a yard or two, if that. Yeah. I would have taken the sack and been fine.
Yeah, versus potentially fumbling the football and turning momentum of a game that you were dominating.
It was something they used to praise Ben Roethlisberger for early in his career, that he knew almost better than anybody. He had like an innate ability to know when to take a sack and when to throw it out of bounds. And like for as big and as burly as he was and hard to bring down, he knew when to flip it out. And I feel like the photo of Ben Roethlisberger that should hang in the Hall of Fame is one where he's like slanting to the side, flipping one out of bounds to the line of scrimmage to avoid a intentional grounding call, because he knew almost as good as anybody, I'm just going to take a sack here. And he would fumble or fold and take one and then get up and just eat it there. 808 KNBR is the number to call and to text here. 650 on the text line says, when are the 49ers going to play a complete game where Darnold comes in midway through the fourth quarter? That's just nitpicking, isn't it? Seems like we're going. If I can quote Spinal Tap, it's nitpicking, isn't it? Let's go to 562 here on the text line. 562 says 49ers are humming at the right time, playing their best football of the season. 707 says good win for the Niners, and look out, Eagles. Purdy is going to look out. The Eagles can put Purdy on the sideline again if you don't protect him. The Eagles are dangerous on the line. They are. Their secondary is the weaker part, or the weaker element, but they just held Patrick Mahomes to 17 points and Andy Reid off of a bye. Does 10 days do anything for you? I mean, does that... Again, I think the Niners are a better team top to bottom than the Chiefs. I think the Chiefs' defense is keeping them in games. I don't think Mahomes is playing poorly, but Andy Reid off of a bye is, they say, one of the most unbeatable things. The Eagles are dangerous, man. Like, I heard Tim Ryan saying at the end of the game, they're grinding out these wins. I keep thinking they're not playing their best football. I think they might just be a grinded-out team, which has big play potential, and that makes them scary and dangerous because they did not have the run game last year that they have now.
Yeah, and they find ways to win, right? And against the Chiefs, they were dominate that whole football. I'm not dominating, but they
were down 10 at the half.
Yeah, and they come back in that, in the fourth quarter, and they grind it, like Tim said. They grind it, and they end up winning a football game, and they walk off with it. So, they're a team, again, with a lot of confidence and, a lot of talented, especially on the defensive line, and they got a pretty decent quarterback that can make some plays happen.
Yeah, that's going to be fun. I think these are the best. This and Baltimore I think these are the three best teams. I think the Ravens, the Eagles, and the 49ers are the best three teams in football right now. And there's some other teams that have that potential. But offensively, defensively, they're going to, we talk protect the quarterback. They've got Hassan Reddick flying off the edge. They've got, they replaced, as good as Hargrave has been, Jalen Carter, first-round pick out of Georgia, is a really good player. They've got some issues. Their linebackers aren't great. Their safeties aren't great. I mean, they got Baird. They upgraded a little bit. There's places to attack the Eagles. But, man, they're good. And then you just mentioned DeAndre Swift. They added DeAndre Swift. They didn't have him last year. He's been a massive addition for the Eagles.
925 on the text line says Dino from Pacheco. He says 49ers are definitely the best team in football. But the Cowboys actually had the Eagles beat in Philly. But, I hate they had them beat. They lost the game. The Niners don't get credit for beating the Browns. They missed the field goals. You know what I mean? People like to say that, too. Brock Purdy didn't bring them back. Hasn't brought the Niners back from behind. Marched them downfield for a field goal at the end of the Browns game, and they missed it. But that's how narratives work. That's tied to you. You know what I mean? If you kick it, You're the hero. Tom Brady's got Super Bowls on the backs of Vinatieri kicks, but that's football. It's the way it works. Nobody does it by themselves. And then 650 says, John, you give Feliciano a grade A?
I'll be honest with you. I didn't watch him all night long, but what he's done so far, when Banks was out and he was over on the left side, a lot of people said he played some great football. I just know that Burford has not played well. Again, based on the grades, based on the penalties that he's had, he's a nice player. I like him. I thought he was going to take a step forward from the second round. This guy at Texas San Antonio, they liked him a lot, but he just hasn't taken that step forward. And look at the Eagles. I mean, it's any kind of matchup, and you guys know this. So we often talk about it's a matchup between a receiver and a corner and all these kind of things. If you're looking at the 49ers defense or offensive line and you're saying, where do we attack? You're going to attack the right side. I mean, that's what it's going to be. And I just feel better about having a veteran over there to help out McKivitz. Feliciano's played for a lot of years in this league, and he's pretty solid. So the way Burford has played, combined with the fact that I'd like to see a veteran over on that right side, because the left side's fine. Banks played well out tonight. We know Trent is Trent. I wouldn't mind seeing Feliciano, even if Burford is healthy, play against the Eagles.
Let's go out to the phone lines here. Dre is in Lemoore. Wants to talk about the secondary. Dre, what's up, man? Long time no talk. Happy Thanksgiving. You're on the Sports Leader.
Thanks, Copes. I appreciate that. Hey, I want to talk real quick about the offense first. McCaffrey, player of the game, no doubt. And I got a little scared when Brock was right there on the end zone, 2 bad passes in a row. That second one was an interception. I got scared it was going to be one of them Seattle nightmares. But that's gone. Brock's here. Russell Wilson's gone. Brock's going to have the same record against Seattle that Russell had like us. Now on the secondary, Mooney Ward was fantastic. He was out of this world. I thought he played a great game. A.B. Thomas with that interception, wow, he had a great game. And I was interested to see what Jameer Brown would do tonight. I didn't hear his name called once. And you guys know, no news is good news. So he must have had a great game, even though I don't remember seeing him do anything.
Dre's a polished caller. Yeah, give me more on the secondary. One more thought on the secondary here, Dre.
The secondary's looking good. The pass rush just has to get there. Don't give Hurts too much time, and we'll get some tugs. Ward almost had a couple tugs today. There's going to be a couple tugs next week. We're going to win the turnover battle. See a Niner victory coming our way and home field advantage, and maybe we'll get lucky with the Buffalo win this Sunday.
Hey, much love, Dre. Happy Thanksgiving to you, man. Thanks for the call today, dude.
Thank you.
Appreciate you, man. Dre has been calling. Some guys are born to hit quarterbacks like Dennis Brown. Some guys are ladies' men like our man Tim Webb in there. Some guys are born to just rip takes on sports talk radio like Dre and Lemoore. And he's been doing it for years. I thought all pretty solid takes by Dre.
Yeah, and you didn't hear anything DK Metcalf, right? I mean, he had a couple plays.
Metcalf, as Danny called him earlier.
Yeah,
I like that.
Yeah. He didn't, and Lockett. A couple plays, but the secondary played well. And like I said, Charvarius was traveling, and he got hurt a little bit, came back in. But you heard nothing from these Seahawks receivers tonight.
No, and Ward usually doesn't travel with the team's best receiver, but I think from a matchup standpoint, he's physical, DK's physical, and then a guy like Demo is more a Lockett type. In Jigba's catch today, the one-hander, you got to give him credit. That was when they showed the first angle when that ball was coming, I'm like, he's not catching that, and he caught it one-handed. Yeah, but
that
I
was
think
an insane catch.
That was a great catch. But Ward is a physical guy, and I think that the question to ask after this is, okay, so we hadn't seen him travel much, and so they surprised the Seahawks, and he handled DK Metcalf, big physical receiver. Ward's their most physical corner. So if you look at Philadelphia in that same kind of way, A.J. Brown, who was a teammate of DK Metcalf's at Ole Miss, he's the most physical wide receiver in the league. So does Ward travel again, and does he play Brown? Because I don't want to see it. Look, Demo's a nice corner. I don't want to see Demo on A.J. Brown. I don't want to see Ambry Thomas on A.J. Brown. I want to see Ward travel again, because then you look at Devontae Smith, who's kind of a quicker, faster type of a guy. Well, that to me is Demo, or that is Ambry Thomas. So it'll be interesting to see if that was just a one-time thing against DK and he did a great job. That's what A.J. Brown is. So is he going to travel that? How are they going to handle these Philly receivers? They don't have Dallas Goedert, which is a huge thing for them. He's a great third-down target for Jalen Hurts. But those two receivers are maybe the best 1 and 2 in the league, and it'll be interesting to see how the 49ers try to stop them.
49ers 31-13 over the Seattle Seahawks. 808 KNBR. Norm, I see you waiting on the line there. We'll get to you when we come on back. You can check it on the text line. See all you guys who have checked in. A lot of people hanging out in the YouTube chat talking about the 49ers' 15 sacks in the last 3 games. That's all, by the way, since they've acquired Chase Young. 4, 5, and then 6 tonight. Bosa picks up a couple of them. They were eating, it seemed like, in the backfield tonight. And they were running all over this defense. 19 carries for 114 for Christian McCaffrey in total. 33 carries for 169. That's 5.1 a tote. And as you said, John, 44-6 under Kyle Shanahan now when they run the ball. That's not even close to anything that I said whatsoever, Tim. And when I said he was a ladies' man, that was like being nice. You know what I mean? That was just sure, that works every time. Thank you. 808 KNBR is the number to call.
Done.
And to text. When we come on back, we will get into, we'll hear our 49ers postgame player interview. Trent Williams, who was leading way for a lot of those Christian McCaffrey runs, and the Deebo Samuel rushing touchdown. 3 rushing touchdowns tonight in the 49ers 31-13 win. More to come here on the Sports Leader.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, we're up by 3 scores, 3 touchdowns, and then we just give them one like that. So now it's a 2-score game. So now it's real, and game is back into play. It felt like in terms of them being back in the game. So for myself, it's like, all right, got to be smart with the ball, but at the same time, I still got to have that aggressive edge to myself, and not being afraid, to rip stuff in tight windows still and move the ball, get first downs, and score touchdowns. That's where I was at with my mindset moving forward. So obviously it sucked going through it. Got to learn from it, but in terms of who I am and playing this position, that can't change. And so that's what I had to keep telling myself.
Look, with 10 days, that's Brock Purdy talking about the pick six there. With 10 days before the Seahawks game, I can already see where this is going. There's going to be 2 sides of this, guys. It's going to be either Brock has this pick six problem, which Jason B has already checked it on the YouTube chat, says pick six Purdy is back, folks. Sorry, not sorry. I said, bro, that's like eating the green bean casserole than saying the spread of Thanksgiving sucked. Like, what are we talking about, bro? Yeah, it's like eating don't knock the cranberry sauce in the can, because I'll eat it.
It's pretty dang
Dennis
good.
and I were showing it love earlier.
Good.
Said, at times I'll take it over the regular. I'll take it over like the seedy berries you get. Anyway, the pick six was a problem. The other side of things, where people will be upset about that and say this is an issue with him. The other side of things, will people say, what the hell's Kyle doing calling a pass play down in their own red zone? The guy was 15 to 20 in the first half. They were looking to get the offense going in the second half. Their first couple of drives, they had stalled. They'd punted. Dennis, you had said yourself that in the third quarter, and I'd sort of been lulled into it too, because we felt that feeling in Seattle before. They got that pick six. They started driving. John, you made the point they were looking for something to cheer about this, fans. Tim and I were sitting on the couch. Tim got oddly quiet. Sitting there watching. I said, "Are you okay, man?" He's like, "Yeah, I just." And I was like, "Yeah, I've been here before. I know this feeling in Seattle where it starts to, like, are the tides turning where they have 24-3 and the Seahawks miss a field?" And my thing was, if they got that field goal at the end of the half too, I was thinking this is going to be a little funky and dicey here if they come back and give up a touchdown. They get the stop, but then ultimately give up the pick six. Anyway, I don't have an issue with the throw there. Of the play call there. The throw was an issue. He had just missed, as I said, right before that to Debo on a little crossing pattern. He missed high on that, and he has a tendency at times to miss high. I think that's sometimes what happens, too, with quarterbacks who just aren't the biggest guys, right, Dennis? Like, you got to reach up a little bit, and at times you...
And he's not the tallest kid in the world, right? I think that's, And he's not... I mean, he was perfect last week, but, like he said, he likes... He says he has to have that edge to him, right? He's got to have that edge, and he's got to take some chances every once in a while. I mean, he's a guy that's played really well, and he's made some good decisions. He had some bad throws in that 3 weeks when they were losing football games, but he's going to take those chances, because he's got the confidence and he knows he's got a defense that kind of has his back a little bit. But that was, to see a pick six and to throw that ball high, backed up like he was, it just looks bad. But he's going to take those chances every once in a while.
Go ahead, John.
No, I'm all right with it. I mean, I like that he's going to take those chances. That was the throw's bad. And the reason I feel bad for him in those throws is because what happens is, like you said, they win, they blow out Seattle. He makes a hell of a throw to Ayuk that even Kyle after the game went, I didn't think that was the right read. And then the last week against Tampa, that first touchdown throw, it was no, yes. And it was the same thing from Kyle, and he's starting to get used to it, and it's kind of like a Steph Curry thing. But on a national level, they're going to just highlight the interception, and it's too bad because the guy played a very solid game, made a lot of great throws, and people are going to say, but he threw a pick six that could have got him back in the game, and that's just going to be the narrative. But, look, if Brock Purdy over the next 4 games, when you're talking about Philadelphia and Seattle and then Arizona and then the Ravens, the 2 top candidates for MVP in this league are Jalen Hurts and Lamar Jackson in some order. And if he plays well in those games and they win and they're the top seed, we're going to be talking about him as the MVP, no matter what the national people think, because it's a quarterback award and Brock Purdy's playing at a really high level. But that interception will be played on all the talking head shows to say, look, he's not that good. They're just not watching the game.
No, they're not. Let's go out to the phone lines here before we get to our post-game player interview. Norm is in Morgan Hill. Norm wants to talk about that very thing, Purdy's performance. Happy Thanksgiving, Norm. You're on the Sports Leader.
Hey, thanks. What are you guys talking about? Purdy does not call the plays. Shanahan does. And like you just mentioned a minute ago, why is he throwing passes down deep in their end zone there? Run the ball 3 times, punt out of there. Not Purdy. You guys are making me sick talking about Purdy. Gee, what do you want?
Is that it?
That's it.
Happy Thanksgiving, Norm. We'll talk to you later, man. I appreciate the call, bro.
I wish I was drinking like him.
Did I call it, or did I call what the two sides were? I told you. He was on hold, by the way, when I told you what the two lines I thought were going to be. I told him, hang on till the... I was hang on till the other side, Norm. I was hang on. We're going to get to you, brother. And then, I don't even know what he was sick about us talking about. We were dude, Purdy's going to be in the MVP conversation.
Look, here's where we are.
You guys make me sick.
Well, here's where we are with him, okay? He played okay tonight. We expect him to play at a really high level. He made some really good throws. It ruins it for a lot of people because pick sixes are a high-profile kind of a thing. And so this guy, has 19 drinks today and says Brock Purdy sucks.
31-13, he threw a pick six. This guy's
opinion,
pissed.
That's fine.
This guy's infuriated, dude. This guy was infuriated. I really do appreciate the call, though, Norm.
Well, we'll try to get Jimmy back. Will that make
you did say something that pissed me off earlier, John. You were like, Jimmy, wasn't an adventure with him or wasn't excited. And I was like, dude, what do you mean it wasn't? I was like,
well, you're right. It wasn't an
I'm
adventure.
genuinely sort of surprised whenever. Yeah, when it was with Rob, then I guys on base. You know what I mean? I was like, I'm genuinely surprised now when I am pretty surprised when Brock throws a pick. I'm like, oh, wow, he missed on that one.
You guys make me sick talking about the party.
Talking about what? Just let him go, you know what I mean? Let's get to our post-game player interview, which is sponsored by the Handler Union Square Hotel. It's San Francisco's oldest family-owned hotel. Trent Williams was out there today. His health had been in question over the last few weeks. Didn't hear that really at all today or throughout the week, which is a positive. Christian McCaffrey leads 49er rushers, 33 total carries for the team, 169, 5.1 a carry, 3 rushing touchdowns. Trent Williams is our post-game player interview.
49ers rolled up 377 yards of offense. They ran the ball 33 times. When they run the ball 30 or more with Kyle as head coach, they win 44-6 to get to the 169 yards. And they had a Thanksgiving night feast on Seattle's 35-yard line. The one guy I wanted out there to eat a big drumstick, Trent Williams. Trent joins us from the 49er locker room. Were you not invited by Melissa Stark to come on the field? Where were you?
I was not. I guess they was worried I'd eat the whole turkey.
Yeah. And I know you would. And I'll bet you after she watches the tape, if she watches the tape, she'll be inviting you. You played your ass off, big dog.
I appreciate that, Tim. Thank you, man.
Yeah, happy Thanksgiving to you. And look, the last 4 games against this Seattle Seahawks team, and you've been on the field, the offense has cranked out 120 points, 30 points a game. Wow. What's the trick?
Just fast and physical football. We know that the key to unlocking our offense is getting 30-plus runs, and Coach always make that known at the beginning of the week. It's one of the things where we knew coming into the noise that you don't want to turn it into a drop-back game, regardless of who's on the other side. With the noise, it's tough. So, we had to play hard-nosed football. Christian, Debo, Elijah, all those guys did a great job finding the seams and just, keeping the ball moving.
Hey, Trent, when you play a Pete Carroll defense, they're going to have a wrinkle. They never got in a 5-man front the whole game.
They didn't.
They came out and started in that 4-man front, had Jamal Adams playing linebacker. Did not take you guys long to adjust.
Yeah. Honestly, that's a good thing for us, because trying to run the ball against 5 down, 3-4 defense is pretty tough, and that's why people run that defense, to get 5 D linemen on the field to make it hard to run. So, I know it's a new wrinkle for him, but we appreciate it.
Debo always plays well against the Seahawks, and you always block well. Take us through that first touchdown with him offset. You and Banks caved it down, Kittle and John with big blocks. Talk about that play. That was a huge hole.
Yeah, it was. Actually, that's an option. We got a chance to shovel that or hand it to Debo at the end, crash it down. So, obviously, they crashed it down, and it was a walk-in. So, that's just another one of those plays that Cal cooks up where the defense is hard for them to be right.
Trent, talk about Brock Purdy. I know we're going to ask you about McCaffrey and some of the cracks he's able to slip through, but even when it's dirty, it's Purdy, and Brock could get 30-plus. Couple of, bad throws, I guess you'd call them, where the vision wasn't great in the third quarter, but it doesn't faze him. That throw to Ayuk at the end, oh, my God.
Oh, that was a seed. And just the confidence he plays with, he gives us a shot in the arm. Man, to have a quarterback that doesn't blink in the face of adversity, will sit in there in that pocket and unleash, window balls, not just wide open guys, but throwing it into tight windows and giving guys a chance to run after the catch. I mean, it's amazing for him to be as young as he is and playing as well as he is. You know, like I say it all the time. It's like we hit the lottery. You know, you don't get a 7-round quarterback that can be a franchise quarterback. It just doesn't happen. And you know, we hit the lottery, so we're blessed to have him.
And as you said, that power ball, he seems to pick the right numbers too, and who to throw to. I love the setup with all the 22 personnel stuff on that drive, and Eli doing his thing.
Yeah, for sure. And I think that's what makes us so versatile, is that, you know, we got so many positionless guys, and, you know, our 22 can very much be 11. It can be 12. You know, it's just those guys do a great job, and nobody ever talks about how much they have to know. They literally got to know 3 or 4 positions every week, and we walk in with 100 plays dang near every Sunday. So, you know, it's just such a great job for them guys to give us the freedom to be able to you know, play with formations and put defenses in bad position.
You played with a lot of good backs, and last one for me, Christian McCaffrey, the day he got here, unlocked the passing game. He's clearly unlocked the running game. What are you most impressed with him?
Everything. I mean, every day he never ceases to amaze me. Just his vision, how well he runs the ball in between the tackles, how well he runs routes. I mean, you really can't find a bad thing to say about the guy. And he's the best running back in the league, and it's not even close. And, you know, like I said, we're so blessed to have him. He, like you said, he unlocks his offense in a major way. And, you know, I can't say enough about him. He's a dog.
For 17 straight games, he scored a touchdown. The Italian NFL record. The man's incredible. We've seen him do some amazing things. His second touchdown, though, Trent, he ran behind you on the left side. I thought it was walled off and he was stopped. How did he squirt out of that and get in the end zone?
Honestly, he just kept pressing it. He pressed all the way to the play side tackle, and the defense overran it. He was able to find that cutback lane, and that just shows you the knowledge that he has, and, you know, how comfortable he is running this offense, and how much, you know, how far he's come in just a year, and like knowing exactly where that ball is supposed to go, and, you know, it's like I said, it's unbelievable. It's unbelievable the vision he runs with, and, you know, that might not even be his best trait. You know, what he does out by the numbers, and, you know, he's so quarterback friendly, like a safety blanket out there for Brock.
Bird season opened on Thanksgiving, and you got your limits, big dog. Good luck next week. Let's do it.
Oh yeah, appreciate it.
Hunting wabbits. There you go. That was Trent Williams there from the 49ers offensive line. Thank you there. When we come on back, we will let you hear from another 49er hero today on the defensive line. That was the offensive line. Let's hear from the defensive line. Eric Armstead got into the backfield for a sack today. 6 49er sacks for that defensive line. That led that's a season high for them. Niners ran it over 30 times, 33 carries, 169 yards at 5.1 a clip. That's the 44th victory under Kyle Shanahan. 44-6 now when they run it more than 30 times. They are 4-0 against the Seahawks since Russell Wilson has been traded. We'll hear from Eric Armstead when we come on back. Adam Copeland, Super Bowl champion, Dennis Brown, John Lund with you here on Thanksgiving night. Niners over the Seattle Seahawks, 31-13. They advance to 8-3. More to come on the Sports Leader.
The cornbread that we got for Brock is being taken. You might want to snag a piece. All right, guys, ready to dig in and celebrate? Any turkey legs? I know George wants a turkey leg. Okay. Wait.
Turkey leg, dude, on Thanksgiving.
Okay.
Happy Thanksgiving to everybody. Oh, yeah. We came in with all my best friends, basically my family. Where else would I rather be than here at Seattle's home field eating turkey legs on Thanksgiving?
You're not hungry?
Food is the last thing I want after a game. No carbs.
Well,
only
you have
meat.
to pretend.
That's a special dude, huh?
No carbs,
No
only
carbs.
meat, bro.
The guy has 2 speeds. He's awake or he's asleep. That's it. When I'm awake, I hit quarterbacks.
The last thing I want, bro, after a game is food, meat, no carbs.
Well, it took him years, man, but the 49ers got to repay the favor there as Brock Purdy remains undefeated against the Seahawks, picks up yet another victory there, and they are eating turkey on the field. Brock Purdy on the day, by the way. Let me give you his line. 21 of 30, 209 passing yards, a touchdown, and an interception. He was sacked in the day. Had a long of 28. It was a touchdown pass to Brandon Ayuk, who had just 2 catches for 50, but that touchdown sealed the game, their only score of the second half. McCaffrey found the end zone twice. Debo did on the ground, 4 for 15, and also had 7 catches for 79 yards. Ambry Thomas, an interception, and a whole bunch of sacks, 6 of them total for this 49er defense. Some from Nick Bosa. You got Chase Young in there. You got Eric Armstead in there. Why don't we hear from Eric Armstead in the postgame? Here he is from the locker room. Eric Armstead met with Greg Papa and Tim Ryan after the game. He's been one of the anchors of this defensive line. He had, Javon Hargrave, a sack and a half today. He had 2 for Bosa. Tayshaun Gibson, by the way, got in there for a sack today. A half for Kevin Givens, and Armstead had 1 as well. Here's Eric Armstead following the Niners' 31-13 win over the Seahawks.
Eric Armstead going to join us downstairs. Speaking of family, longest tenured member of the 49ers. Congratulations to you, Mr. Armstead, and 6 quarterback sacks tonight, and they're just coming from all over the defensive front, not just the ends, but the Gravedigger had a sack and a half. You got another one. T-Gip got one. Bosa a couple. Givens got one. Just talk about the way you're collapsing the entire pocket from all sides of your D-line, Eric.
Yeah, we have to work together to get the quarterback down. No one can do it individually. And we've been playing at an extremely high level, and we got to keep it going, keep getting better, keep building continuity, and keep making these steps to get to where we want to get.
You know what I loved, and it seemed like in the second half after the pick six, after a great first half by you, that they had momentum. Every drive, Eric, in the second half, you guys had a sack on the drive. Hard to overcome that as an offense.
Yeah, 100%. That could have been it was a huge momentum shift,
No
but
doubt.
how you respond is everything in those situations. And Nick had a big sack, knocking them back, getting them out of field goal range, and so they couldn't score. And we just kept fighting. Going into the game, we were like, whatever happens today, we know we can win the game. There's going to be adversity, there's going to be ups and downs, but just keep fighting and keep playing hard.
It's hard to pick an MVP of this defense, certainly with so many guys playing well, but I can't find anyone who's played better than you have since the bye week going to Jacksonville. It's clicked for you. I've told people for a long time, he is a rare player with rare skill sets. The last 3 games, though, is as good of a block as you've put out there. Talk about that.
Yeah, every year around this time, November, December, I take responsibility to be at my best for my team and help us win games down the stretch and put us in position, to where we want to get. And, I feel like I'm that impact player that can change games, and, my team needs me to be at my best down the stretch and in these moments. So that's been my focus, and getting better and hitting my stride, and, I'm going to continue to get better too.
And physically, you've been killing it. I know you never left in the offseason. You stuck around here with Dustin Perry. Another guy who stuck around was Javon Kinlaw. And look, I love when rush and coverage work together, and Ambry had that huge interception undercutting that route. But J.K. had a pretty good pressure on that. Talk about J.K.
J.K.'s been phenomenal, man. He brings a mentality. He brings a physicality to our defensive line, and guys out there don't want to mess with him. And he's been playing at an extremely high level with limited opportunities.
Right.
And I know that can be frustrating at times as a player, but, when he does have his opportunities, he's making his presence felt. And, he has a very bright future, and he's going to get a whole lot of opportunities, in the future. And so, I'm really excited about, his progression, staying healthy and really showing people what he can do. And, he's going to be one of the best defensive linemen in this league in a matter of time, once he gets his full opportunities.
As you guys enter the gauntlet here, and this is when you need to play your best football, Hargrave comes over, obviously, and then Chase Young after the trade deadline. I think you guys are much better equipped for the Gold Rush to dig up some treasure down the stretch here.
We keep adding talent. We have a great group. We put a lot of responsibility on ourselves to lead our team to victories. And each game, we have the ability to do that, and it's just about us going out there and fighting and scratching and crawling to get that done and get that done together. Together we accomplish more. That's what we believe in, and we're all out there playing together. And we're all genuinely happy for each other, and I think that's a rare, special thing as well, too.
Well, you guys shared the wealth tonight as you had 6 quarterback sacks, and it was, again, Nick had 2, Javon Hargrave at a sack and a half. You had 1 more. T. Gipp got 1, and Kevin Givens at a half a sack. So, Eric Armstead, congratulations. Happy Thanksgiving to you.
Happy Thanksgiving to you guys, too.
And as Eric Armstead joining us from the boisterous 49er locker room, as we were saying, our family, happy Thanksgiving to Chris Babcock. Danny Dunn, our on-site engineer, is Mike Baird. Executive producer Mike Kohler. The director of broadcast partnerships for the Niners is Bob Sargent.
Well, yeah, we got love for everybody on the 49er broadcast team, too, there again. And props to all those guys, too, who are up working in Seattle today. Adam Copeland, Dennis Brown, John Lund with you. Niners 31-13 over the Seattle Seahawks. We are streaming live on YouTube, Twitch, and on the KNBR app. Thanks to everybody who's, by the way, hanging out. See a lot of you guys on the KNBR app. A lot of you guys who have checked in on YouTube have been hanging for a lot of the show today on the postgame show for a fun 49er victory. I want to get into a couple of thoughts here. Dennis, you have thinking about this, your favorite play of the game. In games like this where the Niners are going 30 for Putty yet again, John.
Yeah.
Big brain Brock with another 30. There's fun plays, but in every game like this, there's like other intricate plays. And somebody kind of got me on one. I was looking at the text line here. I want to give credit here. I think the 925 said it. They said, how about the play where Juwan Jennings clawed and scratched for that first down? Was that the first drive or the second? I think it was the first drive of the game. First or second drive?
It was amazing. Yeah, I was thinking it was the second one. And what was amazing about it is Devin Weatherspoon's right there. And then, Dennis, you know this. They did gather to the ball. I mean, Tariq Woolen was there and all that. And I think that's one of the reasons why Tariq Woolen got benched after the game. Pete Carroll said that his shoulder was giving him problems, so he couldn't tackle. But somebody took a photo of it. And there were 3 guys on Juwan Jennings who was about 2 yards short. It was a 3rd and 7. And he was 2 yards short of that thing, and he just powered his way for the 2 yards, converts the 3rd down, and they turned that into points. I think it was their second possession, which made it a 14-3 lead. And that's just want to. You know, he wants it more than you do. And you had 3 guys right there, and he's just like, I'm getting the first down. He was 2 yards short of that thing, and he just powered his way to a first down, which led to a touchdown. It's
actually their 3rd possession, by the way. I'd forgotten this. The Seahawks were in and out so quickly on those drives. I mean, they went 3 plays on Seahawks' first drive. The Niners scored a touchdown on their first one.
Right.
The second one, they come out and they punt. They go 7 plays, 38 yards, and they punt.
I think it was their only 3rd down on that possession.
I think you're right. Seahawks' second drive, they go 3 and out. They punt, or they went the 4th and 6. Yeah, they punted there, and then the Niners come down as a 9-play, 45-yard drive. It was a 3rd and 7 at the Seattle 26. Purdy to Jennings for a 7-yard gain, and he got hit like 4 yards behind the line, and guys kept coming, and he was fighting them off. That guy, the 3rd and Juwan thing is legit. I mean, he has a role, and he knows what he's supposed to do, and he's comfortable in that spot, Dennis.
Well, no, how about the pass Brock Purdy to Brandon Ayuk?
I put that on my list too. Yeah.
If you watch that, I mean, they kind of showed it in slow motion. There's 4 defenders. There's 4 Seattle secondary guys there, and he throws it right in the right spot. I mean, there's 4.
Spot,
he throws it into double coverage.
There you go.
You know, so it's. I mean, just watching on the replay. I mean, just to see that window and get the ball in the right spot, and then Brandon, you kind of fall in the end zone. But just watching that play, I'm sure Kyle hated it, and we talked about it.
Yeah.
So that's back-to-back weeks. You know, he's just kind of like, no. Okay, yeah. It's good. It's
and he's starting to kind of understand that. Like I said, it's like a Steve Kerr, Steph Curry kind of thing. No, yes, because he did say after the game, not as emphatically as he said last week on the first touchdown against Tampa, but he said when he was looking at the field and seeing what he thought Brock was seeing, he was saying to himself, you got to go underneath with this. And then when he made the throw, he's like, okay, he made the right choice, whereas last week he didn't. The other thing on that route that is so subtle, and it's why it takes a minute for receivers to get it in this league, is that Weatherspoon had him, but he kind of dipped his shoulder a little bit. He didn't extend his arm out. He dipped his shoulder and bought himself some space and then cut in off Weatherspoon, and it just gave him like that 2 yards away so Brock could fit that ball in there. I mean, you're talking about right now, I'm not saying they're the best tandem in the league, but what I'm saying is that Purdy to Ayuk right now, those guys are really on the same page.
Yeah, they had a really cool head-to-head, helmet-to-helmet after the touchdown, too. I think they've got a chemistry and a connection. I think Debo's one of those guys who he's not running such deep routes anyway that doesn't really matter. Just get the ball into his hands. I think you've got to have some chemistry for what Ayuk and Brock Purdy are doing. Niners 31-13 over the Seahawks. They are 8-3. They've got 10 days until they take on the number one team in the NFL. That's the Philadelphia Eagles. A lot of people might think the Niners are more talented. Niners certainly want to prove that after what happened in last year's NFC Championship game. We'll be with you till about 11 o'clock. Adam Copeland, Super Bowl champ, Dennis Brown, John Lund hanging out. KNBR 104.5 and 680, the home of the 49ers, who are now 8-3 on the Sports Leader.
Yeah, I mean, it's sort of like what we were talking about earlier this week, just him being where he needs to be. And obviously I wish I could have, hit him more throughout the game and stuff. But when we needed it the most, him being there and, as a receiver, you never know, when that ball's coming your way.
NBA did his job, and I got him the ball in the right spot, and he made the rest happen, getting into the end zone. But that's that trust, man. It's the faith in each other, what we do every single day at practice and stuff, and then it's showing on the field. So feels good.
That's a touchdown that sealed it. That's what Brock Purdy is talking about, a great 28-yard touchdown hookup, and the 49ers win at 31-13 to wrap up Thanksgiving. And a good day for the 49ers because the Packers beat the Lions. That drops them to 8-3. Dallas does win. They go to 8-3. They beat Washington, but the 49ers beat the Seahawks, and now the Seahawks are 2 games behind the 49ers. We see them in 2 more weeks. It's time for Drive of the Game. It is that exact play, sponsored by good friends at Modesto Toyota. Worth a drive for selection and savings. It was for me. Visit us today. I could work with any spot. Visit them today at ModestoToyota.com or get my Toyotas, my son's Toyotas. You know how this whole thing works. Check them out at ModestoToyota.com. You heard Brock talking about it. Here's how Papa and Tim Ryan called it.
2nd down, 7. Kittle, use check. Ayuk, they're going to motion, use check out left. Purdy going to throw. Throws back right. Wide open, Ayuk! Touchdown! San Francisco!
Ayuk is on fire!
Well done, boys. 31-13. The 49ers beat the Seahawks. We'll give you more next, only here on the Sports Center.
First and goal, 8-yard line. True eye, Juszczyk. Ahead of McCaffrey, slides left, toss to McCaffrey, coming left, stacked up, stays patient, squirts through, and takes it all the way down to the goal line. Touchdown! CMC, what a run that was!
Christian McCaffrey's second rushing touchdown of the day is part of a 19-carry, 114-yard, 2-touchdown rushing performance and a 5-catch, 25-yard receiving performance. We'll make that our call of the game. Sponsored by Call 811. Whether your project is big or small, always call 811 before you dig. Adam Copeland, Super Bowl champion Dennis Brown, and John Lund with you here. Wrapping it up on Thanksgiving night following a 49er Week 12 victory over the Seattle Seahawks at Lumen Field. They're 4-0 against the Seahawks since Russell Wilson has left. Brock Purdy 3-0, 2-0 on the road. And he's been dominant. Was great against them in the playoffs last year. Was good against them. Good enough to beat them. 2 touchdowns in the Thursday night performance last year. And tonight does it again. Doesn't need big yardage tonight. 209 on 21 of 30, but he does throw a touchdown. And does throw an interception, too, which was a pick 6. But the defense, 6 points allowed outside of the pick 6. Dennis, your final thoughts as we wrap things up here.
Yeah, goodbye Russell Wilson. It's a new era now. I mean, you've got after Seattle now, in the last couple of years, and keep it up. Now you go down there. It's a good win. It's on Thanksgiving. It's a Thursday night game. It's a short week. Blah blah blah. All that stuff. Now you got to go on the road and play a real tough team. The challenge is going to be next week. Now stay focused. You got. I think they come out with No, they have one injury, correct?
George Odom tore his bicep.
Yeah. So you're still healthy. You get 10 days to kind of rest a little bit, but then it's back to business, and you got to play Philadelphia. And this is we talked about the Seattle game, but this next game, this is a big game.
By the way, how dominant have they been? Kyle started 2-9 against Pete Carroll in their first 11, but like you said, he's won 4 in a row, and not only has he won 4 in a row. 120-56 is the score in those 4 games. That's an average of 30-14. So they've outscored Seattle in the last 4 wins, 30-16 on average, or 30-14, sorry, on average by 16 points over the last 4 games. So to me, we talk about rivalries all the time. Seattle's not a rival. They're not in the same neighborhood as the 49ers. The offensive and defensive lines, the trenches, they're dominating them there. Seattle's got a long way to go. I look at Philadelphia, who they've got in 10 days. I look at Dallas, Detroit potentially, although they lost at home to the Packers. And the week before that, they could have lost to the Bears at home. I think they're starting to slide a little bit. I think the NFC comes down to the Cowboys, Eagles, and 49ers. I don't consider the Seahawks a contender at all.
No, I don't either. I think the Seahawks are going to fall out of this thing. I think the 49ers got to stay the course. You got some tough games ahead, as do some of these other teams, and you're getting into these difficult months at the end of the season here. 10 days away, December 3rd, from Lincoln Financial Field in Philadelphia. We will have it for you. Niners and the Philadelphia Eagles on paper. Game of the year to this point as the teams start to iron out what the NFC and the top of the NFC looks like. We'll be keeping an eye on the Baltimore Ravens, by the way, also, who come to town Christmas Day. Everybody have a happy Thanksgiving. John, happy Thanksgiving to you, man. A very hungry John Lund with us as he probably won't eat anything here on Thanksgiving night, whereas Dennis is on his way to pick up a wheelbarrow and
I finished up half my sweet potato pie. So
when did you do that? I've been sitting across from you for 2 hours.
How good is it?
I'm getting my 5th win now.
Oh,
Say what?
That sounds
my 5th win.
I got to live vicariously through you. What is it? Is it really good?
It's sweet potato. Well, here's the deal. My mother-in-law buys it for me, and she gets it from Rainbow here in San Francisco, and it's vegan. So that's good, right? A vegan sweet potato pie.
That's John's thing. Yeah, that's John's thing.
There we go. You'll take anything, right?
Carnivore, whatever.
John will take some equal packets if we have them, dude. He'll eat anything at this point.
You got to make a run to Jack in the Box.
Yeah, liquid diet time. Yeah, what is open right now? 7-Eleven. Like that's the only thing that's
some
open
pizzas,
right now.
How about a big bite?
Those taquitos they have that have been on the roller for like 3.5 days.
That sounds like something John Lund would eat. Yeah, that sounds like John.
One of those hot dogs that's shriveled up in there like 3-4 days.
You're talking awfully specific about the details of this stuff now, John. 49ers going to win 31-13 over the Seattle Seahawks on Thanksgiving night from Lumen Field. Thanks to everybody who checked in today, both on the phone lines, also on as well as on YouTube, twitch.tv/thesportsleader, the KNBR app, and the text line. Thanks to Norm out in Morgan Hill. Norm, drink a glass of water, man.
Make me sick.
Stay off the roads tonight, everybody. If you've had too much to drink, seriously, be safe out there. I'll be back with you tomorrow morning, 9 to 11:30. We'll recap some of this game. We'll get your calls. Black Friday, people out shopping. Let us know what you think about this 49er victory, and we'll take you right up into the Black Friday football game, the Jets and the Miami Dolphins. We'll have that for you on the Sports Leader. Thanks to all the guys behind the scenes today who got stuff done here on Thanksgiving. Raph, Greg, Tim, Danny, Kyle Harr was getting it done. And for the Super Bowl champion, Dennis Brown, John Lund, I'm Adam Copeland. Wrapping things up, 31-13, 49ers over the Seahawks. The news continues on Thanksgiving here, only here. On the bread. No, I'm kidding. There's no bread.
The bread.
On the bread. On these. Oh, no, shots. We're out of here, dude. See you at 9 a.m. on the Sports Leader.
You guys make me sick.